If I could have your attention, we'll continue with today's media availability with none other than Kurt Busch, driver of the #1 Gear Wrench Chevrolet for Chip Ganassi Racing. If you have a question for Kurt, please raise your hand. We will get a wireless microphone to you. Questions for Kurt Busch? Go to David.
David Swope, ESPN Radio Albuquerque. Kurt, you said that you were going to wait through the playoffs before you make a decision on coming back to Ganassi. Would you have any interest in trying the Indy 500 again? Is that one of the things that would come into the play, or what are your reasoning for not waiting?
It's just a matter of all the different categories lining up as far as the sponsorship, the manufacturer, and yes, Indy is a question. I mean, that was one of the things that brought me and brought attention towards moving to Ganassi. And so even with this sports car program, there's things around it, and I'm just trying to weigh it all out. And again, it's about focusing on the playoffs right now and getting the most that we can out of our #1 car and making sure we have the strongest playoff run possible. So we kind of just pushed all that off to the side for a little bit. As far as practice, yeah, the reason why we're here, right? Getting our car dialed in. Right now, we've just done single car runs, and we'll move into some qualifying runs here shortly and then jump into as much traffic situations as we can find to try to double check the balance, low groove, middle groove. And then when we raced here in March, the high groove in 3 and 4, that was the first ever time that I've seen the Cup guys up there. And so that's, I believe, going to be a factor tomorrow, or Sunday's race. And so we'll see. I mean, and then you have nightfall as well. And that'll be the first time we've ever raced under the lights here in Las Vegas. I think it's a great look for everything. And everybody thinks of Vegas, and they think of the Strip and the skyline at night. And it's tough to have a race and still be at night and then still get everybody down to the casinos for gambling and fun and the shows afterwards. So it's a nice start time around 4. Yeah, it'll be a little warm, but I hope everybody gets out of here in a decent time and gets back to the casinos and things.
Go up here to Ron.
Kurt, a lot of the truck guys are talking about grasshoppers on the track. Have you noticed that at all driving around?
Oh, grasshoppers.
We had an infestation here in town like about, what was it, about a month ago? And they were just talking about it, weren't they? They're getting stuck in the grills and stuff, but you haven't noticed it?
There was a few extra splatters on the windshield, but I guess I didn't know that it was the grasshoppers. I did hear about the grasshopper migration, but again, you always have to be ready for anything, whether it's the quickie dry buildup that gets into the front grille and into the radiator, or if it's a grasshopper, you got to make sure that you don't get caught by something by surprise.
Kathy Brown, pitting outside the box. I asked Joey Logano this question. I'm going to ask the same question of you. With restarts being so important this year, and it seems that's where the cars are the most able to pass, do you go back and view any video footage of past races or maybe at this track to see maybe where you can gain an advantage on a restart over a driver?
Oh, absolutely. Right now, pit stops and restarts are the biggest zone to gain spots or lose spots. And so we've got a driver coach, a former driver that helps us at Ganassi, Josh Wise, and he's there for the Xfinity guys that used to be part of the program, as well as some truck guys. All of us bounce ideas off each other. And when we started to go back to tracks for the second time, like Pocono in Michigan, and then now we're here at Vegas, where this was really one of the first races where we had these big restarts. The information's now on video from what we have this year. Otherwise, every video we were watching was from 2018, and it wasn't relevant. So yes, it's a whole new chapter that you have to invest time into to perfect it.
Additional questions for Kurt? We'll go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Kurt, I know with Monster, that's obviously an edgy sponsor in the industry. How does when you have them on the car and doing things with them, how does that allow you to do some things that maybe other sponsors or other things in the past you couldn't have done? How does that allow your personality to come out, or what does it allow you maybe to do a little bit more in some cases?
Yeah, it's for me a perfect connection of a sponsor and having an organic delivery of somebody's personality fits within a brand. Dale Jr., when he was Budweiser, seemed like the truest look of a driver and a sponsor. And that's what I told Monster. I said, I feel like I'm you guys. You guys are me, and let's do this NASCAR thing together. And it's been incredible. We're going close to a decade now together. And Monster's branding and the way that we feed off each other, it's called a lifestyle in a can. And you drink it, you feel it, and you want to be part of their promotions and their different activities outside of NASCAR. And so, times when I'm going to the X Games to hang out with other Monster athletes, it's because I volunteered to go. And then you end up on TV doing interviews or hanging out with the snowmobiler riders. Monster called and wanted me in New York City one year for New Year's Eve because they're throwing a big party up there. But also PBR, the professional bull riders, were up there. JB Mooney is a Monster athlete. I'm hanging out with him, and the next thing you know, I have the microphone at the Madison Square Garden in front of 18,000 people rooting on JB Mooney and promoting Monster at the same time. And so it's a lot of fun wherever we go. Supercross, sports cars, F1. I was in France earlier this year with Chip Ganassi at Le Mans, and Monster's looking at that. They're over in Australia looking at different ways to promote their brand there. Asia is a market that they want to push harder in. And I'm always sitting there kind of going like this, let's go have some fun. Let's race cars wherever. And that all then, again, comes back into the decision on my contract here for full-time NASCAR. So that's what makes it fun, to have a brand like them and to do cool things with. And we always tease each other like, all right, what's next? And what's around the next corner? And like this week, I was on David Spade's Comedy Central show with the car parked right in the audience. I didn't know we'd take seats away from the audience, but the car's right there. And I'm hanging out with Jay Leno and David Spade, and we're having fun with things. And NASCAR helps set some of that stuff up, and it's great to do those promotions together.
Brad Keselowski was asked about yesterday about sponsorships and personalities, and part of what he said was the penalties for having a big personality are real, and I want to win. Winning comes before anything else. You can't win when you don't have sponsors. The last thing sponsors want is big personalities. I know you just talked about you've got a sponsorship kind of allows you to do more of that. Do you, obviously each company is different. Do you see the openness for the big personalities, or is it still kind of a struggle and the big personality, in your point of view, can't reach out as much maybe as in other sports?
I have a luxury with Monster Energy and the fun that we get to have, and the barriers aren't really set up for me. And that's what I ended up looking for, because I know what Brad's talking about. And I agree with Brad on his main point. Winning is everything. That's what this sport is about. And that's why sponsors want to be involved, because you're giving their brand an opportunity to show the world that they're winners and that they can advertise in a unique atmosphere. But what Brad's referring to is what I ran into with Shell Pennzoil when I was at Penske, is that my personality didn't fit that brand, and that's why there was a problem. And so that's why I found a perfect relationship with Monster. It's ideal. It works. They understand motorsports, and that's again what we still have to continue to cultivate more of, is an opportunity for brands to come into NASCAR and go, you know what, the driver has to have their personality, and we have to have our marketing campaign with it, and it all has to work together in a cohesive way.
Jason Summerall, Trackside Experience. So I got to talk to you about a physical thing. We've been talking about all this rest and everybody needs preparation for the races, but you guys, we were there with you in the media day yesterday for a lot of hours, and know you bounced around between all these different media locations throughout. And then you come here today after doing all the media stuff yesterday, burnouts, all that stuff, the fans called me last night when we were broadcasting live wanting to know, what the heck do you guys ever get a chance to do to relax? I mean, my goodness, the energy level alone blows us away.
No, you're right. Media days can wear us out the most. Thought that was a joke. I thought it was. No, it's a busy schedule. It's a lifestyle that we all are committed to, and you recharge on Tuesdays and Wednesdays like anybody else. You know, our weekend is racing, but then we can find a couple days where it's quiet on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and recharge. But again, it gets back to nutrition, hydration, working out, stretching. It's a process. You know, the younger guys, and even when I was young, you can get away with certain things and going hard. And something you missed on our schedule was a charity bowling event last night with South Point, with Speedway Children's Charities. Raised close to $70,000 with bowling. I mean, that's athletic. You got to be out there. And so it's a process that we all have to make sure you find the right time for everything. And you blend it into the 7 days. And all of our energy, though, is to peak during the green flag start on a Sunday race.
Any additional questions for Kurt? We'll go to Kenny.
Kenny Bruce. Kurt, your crew chief, Matt McCall, I think he's an engineer and a former racer, which is kind of unusual because you're either a former racer or you're an engineer. We've seen the sport go through that. What are some of his strengths, and what has he really brought to you this year that maybe some of your other crew chiefs that you've worked and won with didn't?
His demeanor is very calm, and yet when he says something, he knows that he doesn't have to say it twice, if that makes sense. Like when he's saying the direction that they're headed with certain things, everybody listens and they're on board. And yet his delivery is very calm, and he doesn't get rattled with things that might go wrong in tech, or if the driver's chirping in his ear, or with balance changes from things that they learned in the wind tunnel. He applies it and he moves forward. And I think Matt McCall is a diamond in the rough. He reminds me a lot of Cole Pern. And Cole Pern is an engineer and also a former late model racer. And the way that he approaches his craft, you can tell that he's a racer and he's a perfectionist. And right now it's just a matter of going through enough lessons to perfect his craft. Similar to we ran out of gas at Michigan earlier this year. He says, hey, I need you to save 2 laps. And so as I was trying to save fuel during that run, he says, I need you to save a little more, but we're good. Or you're doing good. I'm like, okay. Does that mean we're good, or we're going to run out, or we're good? Or we're going to run out? We ended up running out going down the back straightaway. And after the race, those lessons of, no, you needed to be more assertive on the radio. You needed to tell me that we were not good, or you said I was good, but it was because I was good applying the fuel-saving strategy. We needed to communicate a little bit different. And it's those little things that I think Matt is on the cusp of completing, and we can grab another gear once we get through some of those.
Additional questions for Kurt? Kurt, thanks for taking the time to join us. Now, good luck this
All
week,
right.
bud.
Thank you.